Hello, slots enthusiasts. How are you? It's great to hang out with you again for another Professor Slots podcast episode and live stream. Today, we're going to be diving into my personal favorite, winning slot strategy number 7. That's coming up. My name is John Friedel. Welcome to Professor Slots, a channel that's all about mastering casino slots so you can win your way to success. Thanks for joining us today, whether you are listening on the podcast, watching this video later, or here with us live on Saturdays at noon Eastern Time. I'm glad you're all here. Thanks for mentioning the audio's good. I worry. Is the video good? The camera did a little kind of like square thing, and I'm using an alternative. Hopefully, I'll watch myself later and see what happened. Technical fun. If it didn't happen, I wouldn't enjoy it as much. So if you're with us during the live stream, make sure to say hello in the live chat. Let us know where you play slots, and as always, be sure to ask your slots-related questions. Jan has already asked a good one, and we'll come around to that. So subscribe to my Professor Slots channel on YouTube to become part of our rapidly growing community of slots enthusiasts. The graphics, the analytics for this channel astonish me. Sure, I'd had it for a couple of years, and I've done live streams since middle of November 2019, but it wasn't until I started posting basically videos, the recorded videos explaining things. And this last 7 straight weeks of Thursday series on winning strategy 1 through 7, that I'm seeing my analytics do well. It's nice to see that, given that I was laid off 6 weeks ago. I'm trying to make this into my business, and it's kind of necessary for, the next steps. So yeah, please subscribe. It helps us grow, and we get the word out. And I know that that's true because I see the participants during the live stream. They show a audience not retention, sort of like participation during the hour, and it rises. So every like that you give this video, every subscribe you give to my channel during this live stream, and afterwards, but during this live stream, we'll actually pull in a bunch of people, and that's sometimes like twice as many people as we start with. I'm pretty sure not everybody's just late, although that is a possibility. More data. Right, so today's topic is on my 7th. Hi, Denise. I'll check with the live stream a little bit, but I came in a few minutes earlier and checked with people. So today's topic is on my 7th winning slot strategy, the winning strategy of win, walk away, return later. It's been my mainstay, personally my favorite winning slot strategy. I've depended on it when earning the most taxable jackpots. This is before I started Professor Slots, before I had during my 90 taxable jackpots in 9 months, before, at the end of that 9 months, winning a car. That's when I was thinking about starting a business, but I didn't decide to start my business until that happened. So this is all pre-Professor Slots, but it's what I base my decision on to start this business. So as with other winning strategies, it isn't about how lucky you are. Instead, why it works is based on how a specific casino has set up their operating system to run their slot machines. Like I said, it's all the winning strategies are pretty much based on business practices of casinos. Now, this is my 7th. I numbered winning strategies up to 7. There's a couple of other things that might be more like a best practice or a tip. We talked about that last week a little bit. Is there an 8th? Sorta, kinda, but I have a series of 7, and that's what I'm presenting, series of 7. So the series ends. Thursday, I put out the 7th winning slot strategy, and that series will end. Now, that's not having good money management skills is a winning slot strategy. Being record keeping to have huge, depending on what you call huge, tax return from gambling deductions, that's a winning strategy. But I don't number those. So I'm going to be doing other videos that are helpful. And, I figured 7 was a good number. Anyway, so please don't stop watching my videos just because I've done all 7, because there's plenty more of good material that people have an interest in, and I'm also learning more about what people have an interest in. So I've got just this huge number of videos I need to do. So I think you'll enjoy them. So stick around. Okay, so as I've mentioned in the past, I cannot give you more luck. Luck is completely random. Luck isn't something either you or me have control over. I can't make you luckier by wishing it was so. However, what I can provide is an edge by explaining the actions casinos get to choose from when setting up their system of slot machines. Slot machines used to be, for the most part, except for a couple of things, before central servers, used to be random. And there was one thing that they did, but we'll talk about it some other time. One of those winning strategies that's not part of my 7. But when you look at those, what point am I trying to make here? When you have these, it slipped my mind. So when you have these winning slot strategies, you have a choice to make as to which one you want to use. And we'll talk about number 7 today, but Jan asked a question in the live chat a few minutes ago about, so how do you pick and choose between all of these? So I'll present, give you winning strategy number 7. There's also a 8-minute, 40-second video that came out actually on Friday. Take a look at that. That's I edit out half my breathing. It's short, concise. You don't have to listen for an hour. This is live streams are meant to be a community event. It's meant to see if there's anything you want to call out in the video and ask me about. How does it relate to other things? Also, these live streams are going to be hard to find. I'm not promoting them. I'm not making them front and center on YouTube. YouTube may do it, but I'm not. And so these are kind of one and done. I'm not removing them, and I'm not exactly hiding them, but I'm not making them come up. So now is the time to ask. Now will always be the time to ask. But the frontline presentation of winning slot strategy number 7, win, walk away, return later, is yesterday's video, 8 minutes, 40 seconds. Okay, so as I've previously gone over, casinos have a selection of possible setups thanks to their new casino operating systems. These rather expensive new systems, which includes a central computer, to which every slot machine is connected and controlled, provide casinos with 3 financial advantages: being able to handle larger and larger crowds, having the opportunity to tune their financial performance metrics daily or multiple times per day, and reducing their slot mechanic workforce, not the slot attendants, but the slot mechanics, who previously changed slot machine odds of winning by opening and physically adjusting each machine one by one. This strategy is a winning pattern I recognized and used extensively at one casino set up to allow observant slots enthusiasts to win more often than otherwise. And I did this, just to be clear here in the live stream, I mentioned it in the video, but this was at Horseshoe, Cincinnati, back when it was Horseshoe, which is owned by Caesars Entertainment, which was recently purchased by El Dorado. So all that matters. That was 2 owners ago. But maybe your Horseshoe wasn't bought, and if there's one near you, I want to give people a place to start where I know a business, which casino operator has done this in the past. With this strategy, I've cycled bankrolls again and again. It's not just about winning jackpots. It's also about winning cycling bankrolls. The amount of money you put into the machine and you play, and you win a little and you play a little and you win a little and you play a little, and pretty soon you've gone through everything that you've brought, but you still have that amount in the machine, right? That's your bankroll. You cycled it once, you cycled it again, cycled it again. This is one of the confusing factors that people who don't know slots, and including kind of like new people playing slots, is they think, well, the return to player is 0% because I went in with $200 and I left with zero. Like, well, hang on. When you spent $200 the first time, you had what, $184 left, and then you went through that and you had $168 left, and you went through that, and so you actually spent $1,000, $1,500, $1,200, depending on your return. So that's some of the confusion people have. Just trying to help educate people about what's going on. So I've talked to non-slots players, and they were just like, take all your money, and I'm like, well, that can happen. Okay, so so with this strategy, I cycle bankrolls again and again to earn more players' club points to advance in tier levels to top tier, twice. Because this was my most used personal winning strategy, I need to tell you what my gambling goals were at the time. Now, of course, my gambling goal is centered around being of service to you. Now I gamble to learn and then explain. But back when I was learning strategy number 7, my gambling goal was threefold. I had 3 different gambling goals of equal importance. Yes, from the beginning I wanted to learn. If I could learn enough to be useful, I'd still have to figure out how to explain it to somebody else, maybe a lot of someone else's, which is turning out to be the case. Yay. My other gambling goal at the time also started with wanting to make money. Now, profit, not just revenue. People say, well, I have this much revenue. And I'm like, and your bills were more than that or less than that? What did you have a profit? And so that's something I keyed in on right away. I wanted a profit. And not much later, I also wanted to maximize complimentary gifts, because when I got started, I was like, I didn't even really know what that meant. I try to say complimentary gifts. Too often I say comps, and people are like, what do you mean by comps? I'm like, oh, complimentary gifts. So my gambling goals of the day were learning, making money, earning comps. To accomplish these 3 equal goals, all I did was play high-limit slot machines, personal choice. These were typically 2-credit, $10 denomination, or 3-credit, sometimes 5-credit, $5 denomination slot machine. So every bet was either $20, $15, $20, or $25. And I usually played only a few specific slot machines, as it's easier to apply this winning strategy to a limited number of slot machines, as I'll explain momentarily. The slot machine game theme I played, and I don't consider specific game themes to be, what to look for. People, I get this question all the time. What game theme should I play? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. If there's a row of slot machines all with the same game theme, they're not equal in odds of winning. Play the one on the end, maybe the second end. Which one has the best view of the VAR? So I get a lot of people coming in, which is fine. There's a lot of learning to be done. The slot machine I played the most was a row of Wheel of Fortune slot machines from IGT, International Gaming Technologies. Now, International Game Technologies. I always added ING to that. I wish I could be more specific about which Wheel of Fortune slot machine I was playing. There's a particular model, but I think one factor that went into a lot of these winning slot strategies that we were talking about, what we need to do eventually, and we did a little bit last time, was talk about combining them. Now, these slot machines had a wheel on the top, and none of the other slot machines in the high limit room, well, there was some over on one side. I think there were, the ones where you have top dollar, right, top dollar. And, but you could see in to kind of like those top dollar machines and the back wall, which is where I was at on the Wheel of Fortune machines. And I think part of what I was doing was also being highly visible, or the machine was highly visible from a distance, including outside of the high limit room. And I've come to think that that matters. But this is also part of the reason why I chose it. Anyway, if we just talk about winning slot strategy 7, keep in mind that other considerations were part of this. It would be months before I uncovered just how many different Wheel of Fortune games existed. For example, IGT has a webpage showing over 400 different versions of their Wheel of Fortune game theme. Double this, diamond that, and then there's I think they count the different credits as well, whether or not it's progressive. And that's not last year. Okay, that's not 10 years ago. That's not 5 years ago. This is the ones they actually sell right now. So the older ones aren't on there. So the ones they sell right now, it's like over 400 different models, different versions, I should say. Of these machines I played, I only remember credits, denominations, and how many reels they had. It also had a big wheel on top again, but that's not very specific. They mostly do. So strategy 7 is my most successful winning strategy, where winning meant I was learning while earning both a profit and players' club reward points for all the best comps. Why is this important? I mean, think in terms of yourself, right? This is important because I want you to understand my choices that I made, which were based on these goals. And you'll have to make similar choices or different choices based on your goals. So my gambling goals are vital to you, because my explanation will hopefully help you understand and work through how to implement this strategy for yourself. You have a better idea what I was trying to accomplish. So to take home money, I decided I needed taxable jackpots from high limit slot machines to earn players' rewards credits. I thereby earn an assortment of food, travel, event, and hand carry gifts. I needed to be able to cycle bankrolls. And so it's been a while since I've mentioned this, but there's more than one kind of winning slot machine. Sometimes it's more evident than others. It's typically apparent when someone wins a taxable jackpot, right? Everything stops, somebody comes over, money's put into the palm, but it's not obvious if the player is making a profit. For clarity, I'll state this observation another way. When playing one slot machine for a long period, it is noticeable if that slot machine has relatively high odds of winning within the time he or she is playing. What is less obvious is whether someone spending a long time playing a single slot machine is cycling bankrolls, not while interspersed with also winning taxable jackpots. But a series of jackpots under the $1,200 taxable limit can also go relatively unnoticed by most observers if the player immediately cancels the distinct sequence of lights and sounds from a jackpot, which is called a roll-up. So to not draw undue attention, I always cancel the roll-up. In the live chat, if you'd like to share, do you cancel the roll-up? I know it's fun to let the lights and the sounds play. It's very gratifying in its way, but for me, it wasted time. I'd have preferred to be gambling while the playing was excellent. With this winning strategy, winning for me meaning a combination of taxable jackpots as well as cycling bankrolls, it also meant both if I could have both at once. Having both at once, which did happen, was an especially winning slot machine, but having either one alone was too. For you to use this winning strategy, you'll need to know your own gambling goals. If you want taxable jackpots, then you want a slot machine that provides them. If you wish comps, then you only need a slot machine that cycles bankrolls. High-limit slot machines are not necessary when implementing this winning strategy, not at all. Don't feel like you need to place bets on high-limit slot machines, because I did. I only mention them here as this is primarily where my experience lies when implementing this strategy myself. So when implementing win, walk away, return later, I had 3 gambling goals. I've already mentioned money and earning comps, but what about my learning goal? This goal is to learn what works, how it works, and then explain it to others in the most transparent and concise manner I can manage. And that learning goal all started with winning strategy number 7. While I've mentioned this winning strategy is the last in this series, I learned it first. As such, I decided from the very beginning that of all the winning strategies I might learn, this is the one I would give away for free. And so I have. From the beginning, before Professor Slots. When anyone asked me how I was a top-tier status player, how I'd gotten that free comp, why I was on that cruise, or how I was winning so many jackpots during a single session, I would tell them exactly what I was doing as my best slot machine gambling advice. Here it is. After winning a decent-sized jackpot, go home. Go home, then come back 1 week later to play the exact same machine, starting about 5 to 10 minutes before the time when the prior jackpot was initially won the week before. Be aware that this advice doesn't necessarily apply on days of special events. And that's it. That was it. That's it. But there's a couple of things here. Be aware that this advice doesn't necessarily apply on days of special events, such as holidays or other special casino events. Example, when this strategy might not perform well include banking holidays, major sporting events, significant promotional casino events. On those less than usual days at a casino, I'd instead recommend you consider implementing my winning strategy number 4, special events, winning advantages, and winning strategy number 5, reliable holiday patterns. However, this gambling rule does apply for events exactly 1 week apart. I know it's September and we're thinking about Halloween, and it's too soon to even think about Halloween, but too soon to think about Christmas. But Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve are 1 week apart. So they're very similar. Relatively similar casino conditions and overall level of activity tends to exist on both days. For this specific winning slot strategy, or for whatever reason in fact exists for it to be a winner, that time of day, on that day of the week, had a higher than usual odds of winning a jackpot. So play it again at that time on that day of the week to see if the reason it happened in the first instance is still in effect. Let's check in with a live chat to briefly say hello. Okay, lots of conversations here. Picking up from before the show started, when I basically said hello to people, and somebody remind me Jan has a question, but I'm going to say hello first here. The usual characters are here. Slots Ninjas has left. I don't remember her name. She told me her name. And they're about to leave to go to Wind Creek. They have a Mercedes giveaway, and she's going to win the Mercedes. Good luck. I took the cash. I'm not a Mercedes kind of guy. I'm a Jeep Wrangler kind of guy. That's just me. All right. Right. So yeah, the video will be available later. Slots Ninjas. Hey, Hawaii is visiting. Hi, Nai. I before E. Sorry, I don't know how to quite which way to pronounce your name. I'll do them equally, I and Ni. But he says he actually woke up in time. Rodolfo, hey Rodolfo. So Rodolfo, there's so many things to talk about, right? So we talked about our past winning slot strategies, and this week, what a week! I don't know if you feel this way, but I was just bouncing around. Right, Saturday, Derby Day. Sunday, the day after Derby Day. Monday, Labor Day. Tuesday, the day after Labor Day. We're talking about after special events, after holiday. I'm tracking, all these Facebook posts about, did it work for them? Did it not work? And Rodolfo got his very first hand pay. So, congratulations, Rodolfo. I'm happy that you got your first one. It's something that you always remember. Right. So when so I've got some notes from people about what worked and what didn't work. What I thought was interesting was people who decided not to change what they did. They just added this to it, right? So they did their usual thing. They lost a bunch of money on the evening of Labor Day, as usual. And then they stuck around to the next morning and got up early the next morning and made it all back. And they went home breaking even. And I'm like, okay, So you see the little adjustment you need to make? So it is, when you get into a rhythm of playing slots and you change what you want to do, sometimes you don't want to because, it's nice to be in a crowd. And I'm evening has buffet, normally has buffet, perhaps not this year, and some other activities and lots of people going around. Early morning is a different, it's like every day at the casino is a little bit different. The mornings are maybe quieter. Maybe you get, people who stayed up all night. It's a different character. So it's nice. It was nice to see the people who did well, and Rodolfo was one of them. Okay. Let's see. How do you cancel the roll up? Touch any button. All right. Usually, if you want to make another bet, you can. You have to press the button twice. Once to stop the roll up, and then to bet. If you wait for the roll up to end, then you just press it once, and that's the next bet. And this works on video machines as well. All that, the stuff that I want to say. People say, it doesn't matter. But I do like to watch, the things, and I do still get a little bit of a feeling in my chest of, when it's close, and I know everything was determined when I pressed the bet button way back in the beginning. There was somebody who was talking about, 1,000 bonus rounds. All that was determined back when the button was pressed. You're just along for the ride, okay? And, but I still enjoyed watching, but sometimes when I'm in a hurry, and it's a great way to lose a lot of money fast, but don't bet, stop, bet, stop, bet, stop, bet, stop. Instead of bet. Oh, is it done? Oh, bet. Oh, is it done? Bet. Right. So I cancel the roll up. Boom, 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 boom. That's my bets. So Shannon says, I sometimes wait several seconds before I hit the button to start feature 2. Yeah. So Chip says, I seldom cancel the roll-up, prefer to let the slot do what it's programmed to do. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Yeah, there's the free play. I'm kind of interested in what's going to happen. I like to see the jackpot grow and see, so I don't, sometimes I guess that's the one I don't cancel. I just want to see what happens, because sometimes I can look at it and get an idea of how the machine's playing, and that's useful information in a way. So I guess I don't cancel the really super long stuff. So let's see. And Shannon says that she noticed she does better with the rapid fire method. Yeah, some people call it the rapid fire method. Rodolfo had to go. Hopefully he heard my congratulations before he left. Steve says, I look at some of my time stamps and get some jackpot within 1 hour of another on several days of my jackpot I got this year. Right? You look back and you're like, hey, man. That's one of the so I've told you what to do here on Winning Strategy 7, but there's a few more things to talk about, and that is how to get started, what casinos might have this more than other casinos, and how to look at your records, and what if you get taxable jackpots? There's something you can do there. What if you don't get taxable jackpots? Well, there's something you can do there. So we'll talk a little bit more about implementation in a little bit. Hey, Steve. Welcome. We don't often see you here. Steve was right there at the beginning. I don't know if this is a bad time for you. Steve, just D, I'll say, not Steve Keenan, who was just talking about jackpots. Welcome, Steve, and Steve. Joyce is here. Hi, Joyce. She plays at Maryland Live, Horseshoe Baltimore. There's an horseshoe right there, MGM National Harbor. Excellent. Welcome. And Kevin says, first time watching. Hey, they won their first hand pay last week. We had another member who's just stepped away. He had to go do something, who also won his first hand pay, which, Nye, thank you. You told me how to phonetically say Nye. I'm so sorry. I just, vowels are hard for me. I have more than a few of my own. Denise is here. One question. I do all your tips while playing, but how do you leave when ahead? If you can find the answer for that, please share. No willpower here. That specifically is money management. Okay, I've fought that myself. The times that I have been successful is to develop a habit. All right, and there's times when it isn't successful. Like if I go into a casino and it's just, things have changed and it's not a good time and it all becomes kind of like apparent, I have to tell myself to go home. And I have a hard time doing that sometimes because I'm like, but just last week it was okay. And maybe if I try harder, and I'm like, oh, it's not me. It's never me. But it's only me when I chose which time and day to go. That was me, and everything else is the casino. So money management technique. We talk about the gamble box. All right, and we talk about, I think there's another one here, the Winners Bank 2000, right? Yeah, Winners Bank 2000, but really you can also use a pocket if you have a spare pocket with nothing in it except a little bit of your winnings, and you only deposit only. All right. I used to work at a bank for like 8 years, and deposit only kind of works for me. Maybe you put a Ziploc, maybe you put a, Ziploc, or maybe you put a Velcro sticker, or maybe it snaps closed, or some, in a purse, some zip closed. But just make it like not easy to grab it. It's not like in your hand. And just train yourself. And I know it's hard, but it takes a little while. A few mistakes will be made. Don't feel bad about them, and just don't reach into that pocket. Just add to it, and just tell yourself when you add to it, okay, I want to add to it. Put it in there. It's not meant to come out. You may change your mind 5 minutes later, 5 seconds later, but only put in there what you feel comfortable putting in at that second, and then it won't, and then you will have it later. And if you train yourself not to pull from it, even if it's just vouchers, you run the risk of, like, on your way out, you have to cash the vouchers. But it's possible. I've done that. If Paula says I have so I might have a lag. I'll have to ask Paula what she meant. It could be the separate camera. It has a longer cable, and that might cause a lag. My apologies. I might just go with the square image next time, just to have a better connection. So when I say hit a jackpot and come back, does it have to be a hand pay jackpot? No. It's the first odds of winning. For those of you who have been on here before, I talk about the 2 odds of winning. First, 2 calculations, 2 runnings of the random number generator when you press the bet button. First, will you win? Second calculation, immediately following, how much you won. All right. All we know is that we won. So go back and you will win again, but it won't be that amount. That's something else. I don't want to get too deep into it, but a lot of my winning slot strategies are about the first odds of winning, if you win. There's only one, my goodness ratio, which we can talk about some other time, and I have talked about in the past. The goodness ratio, which is about the second odds of winning. So yeah, it's a crapshoot. You don't know how much you're going to win. You just know it's a good time. So you go see what you get. Yeah. There is hopefully only a video lag. I can sort of notice from my end. Hopefully you're hearing me okay. My hand gestures aren't necessarily needed. And right, so I should be able to fix that up next time. I've got some ideas for that. But then we have all the way back in the beginning, we have Jan, and I'm trying to get better about this. She asks, I'm looking forward to the podcast today. There are a lot of ways to determine a casino's best business practice. What is the easiest, fastest way to find out which one it is? The thing to do is for me to sort of come up with like a step-by-step. But there really is a lot going on. And I don't know that the audience necessarily is that dedicated to it. What's going on here is if Winning Slots Strategy 1, when that video came out 7 weeks ago, win immediately, right? The 5-pull method, right? It's all there in the video. If that works for you, no one ever goes to strategy 2. Hey, one and done. Thanks. I'm winning now. See you later. People aren't necessarily thorough. So for those few people I'll put something together, but I don't think it's going to be something that everybody's going to be interested in. Each one of those strategies would be if there's a way to test it. And we kind of talked about it on these live streams and a little bit in the video, the short video on each one of these, about how you test and decide. And I'll get a little more formal about that, but I think that's really special interest. And so basically to try to get everybody to think a little bit about being a scientist, you test. I won't go through all 7 of them now, but on this one, on Winning Strategy 7, come back a week later. That's how you test. Play the same machine. Did it work? And also another reason why I'm sort of questioning whether this is necessary, I would love for people to be able to tell me that my winning strategies work. Yeah, jackpots are great and all that, and maybe you sense that you have more, but data, right? I would love people to have excellent gambling records for the last 10 years and then show me the spike after having watched my videos and listened to me. That's never going to happen. That's not how the situation is. So it would be great to be able to show people. That's all right. It's an imperfect world, and we're learning. So each one of these winning slot strategies has a way to take. Paula, if I'm going to blame you guys, it's all you. It's not because I'm doing something different here. Yeah, right. Right. So each one of these strategies had a bit on how to test it, and I didn't assume we had a lot of scientists here. My mistake, maybe. I'm learning. All right. So Jan got answered. Lag. When you say hit a jackpot, yep, I answered that question for Cincy. Joyce, when you play in high limit 5 spins, does it have to be max bet? I'd seen that question. I would start, we were just talking about testing, right? If you test on low limit and you have some confidence, 15 out of 20 machines give a taste in the first 5 spins. At that point, go to high limit. And I'd max bet because, maybe you would try it the first day on low limit, and particularly if you're, never been in the high limit room, you want to kind of get used to it. But what I would say, the best testing would be to go to low limit, quarter machine, 1 credit. You want to do 3 credit, knock yourself out. Do 20 machines, 15 of them have a taste. 10 have a taste, 18 have a taste, something like that, at least half of them, then consider going to high limit room if you can afford it. No pushing from me, no pressure from me. And I would suggest doing an intermediate step of just 1 credit for a day, right? Every machine, or not every machine, not the $100 machines, but do 20 machines and see if it's also 10 of them provide a taste, 15 of them provide a taste, 18 provide a taste. And then you've got 2 times when you've proven that casino, have evidence, not necessarily proven, but have evidence that casino does that. And then I'd come back. You have to come back the next day, because one of the things is you got to let them sit. But you come back the next time, and then you go max credit. What I'm seeing from a lot of people who read all that, they're just like, I'm going to go and play a $100 machine. And I'm just like, did you test anything? Nope, I'm just going to go for it. And I'm like, just take a minute. Try it out and out, low limit. I know I'm talking to gamblers. If you want to, just go for it. Yeah, bet max. But otherwise, try to have some evidence up till then that particular casino does it. I'm finding it works in about 1 in 3 casinos. So, 67% chance that it won't be that casino. Might be the next one. And it's costly. Right. So, Rice is here. Hi, Rice. Does casino give out reward if you show them glitch on their machine? No. I don't think they're tight-fisted. They might give you a free meal, but then it's kind of free for them too. Yeah. I wouldn't expect that. I think that if they did, people might cause a machine to glitch and then try to get the reward. Talk about winning slot strategies. I don't recommend that one. Doesn't matter what time of day to play. Absolutely. If you're looking to repeat a win, all right? So if you see a win on a weekday, on a day of the week, and on a particular slot machine, then you come back to that time. So that does matter. Steve says he's been doing this for 2 years. Like I said, he was here early. I think at the time he just had the podcast. I think that's when he started, early days in the podcast, and that was 107, 108 episodes ago. So Steve's, I don't know, maybe you're the first. No, there's a guy named John at Foxwoods, but I haven't heard from him for a while. But yes, one of the originals. Chip says, John can definitely affirm that your strategies work from firsthand experience. Yeah, Chip has been emailing me regularly, and he's been working hard. He's been working it real hard. Mostly northern Ohio, but usually more Michigan. And he's done tier status jumps and more. So Shannon says, do you stay away on weekends? I stay away on weekends in Las Vegas. The way their gaming regulations are set up is they have to report to the state weekly. And the state reports to the public monthly. What's important here is they report weekly. So they report not daily, not monthly, weekly. So on average, they report for the week. And one of the things they just love to do is make the odds better for locals and just take the money from people visiting on the weekends. But it all averages out because no gaming commission on any state asks for people to report daily on their overall statistics. They might ask for reports on information flow, but in Las Vegas the weekends start about 10 o'clock. Maybe 10 o'clock in the morning on a Friday and go to about 10 o'clock in the morning on Monday. So it's an extended weekend. And it's just radical difference. I have an article, professorslots.com/Las Vegas visit with a dash between Las Vegas and Vegas. And you can find that on my website. And I just point all this stuff out. So I don't know if that's true for Atlantic City in Pennsylvania. I don't know that they actually do that. Pennsylvania, I didn't see that taking place, but it's just so obvious in Las Vegas that you can't help but notice it. Yeah, Steve's got over 100 hand pays since. Yeah. So let's get back to a few more things so you can implement. But that was excellent. Visit professorslots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. So let's talk about why this strategy works at all. A good question to ask is why this strategy works. Here's my reasoning. As we know now occurs at newer casinos, their owners have installed an operating system which includes a central computer to control the odds of winning on each slot machine. The intent of this central computer, and a very few states will have it off-site, the intent of this central computer is to adjust the odds as needed to meet their casino's financial performance metrics, some legally required within their gaming jurisdiction. And that's it. That's my reasoning. Casino operators are adjusting the odds of their slot machines depending on how their day is going financially. As interesting as it may be from an academic point of view, we don't need to know what exactly they are adjusting for or even how they are doing financially for the day. I mean, we could sit there and watch the crowd and go, oh, it's because it's a big crowd or it's a low crowd or something just got out, or, we don't have to figure that much out. We can go by jackpots or cycling bankrolls. So that knowing that the slot machine are being adjusted as often as that means our task is instead to go out and find those specific slot machines adjusted to have the best odds of winning at specific times of the day and specific days of the week. This winning strategy is, using a higher level explanation, all about rhythm. It takes advantage of the casino's rhythm. As most gamblers know, every day of the week has a different feel at casinos. Mondays, we could talk about Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays. It's just think about every day that you might have gone and how they're all different. So what you are feeling each day is real. Casinos have an operating rhythm based on many events we don't have to understand. This winning strategy works to sync your slots gambling sessions into that rhythm. It attempts to exploit it, to anticipate seeing it recur the next week at the same time on the same slot machine. So how do you go about doing that? How do you find these days of the week and times of the day, which is when you have improved odds of winning? So many, so I'm going to riff here a little bit. So you, if you are someone like Steve, who has just admitted having 115 plus hand pays since in the last 2 years, and I'm sure he was getting a few hand pays before that too, but those have timestamps on them. They have the day the jackpot was won, with all the other information you might find on it, and also the time. Should be a timestamp. Now, depending on your state, some states give you a receipt and you receive a W-2G in the mail afterwards. And others just print the W-2G right then and give that to you. So every state's a little bit different, but maybe the receipt has the timestamp written in by the slot attendant, pad of paper that they filled out. Maybe you could that slip of paper. Maybe that's where it's going to be at, but it should also be on a W-2G. Sometimes there's an entry for it, but sometimes it's blank. And it may be rounded up to the nearest quarter hour or something. So it wouldn't be a bad idea if you wrote it down yourself when you won. But it's when pen meets pad of paper when the slot attendant comes, and you have that. You might have over 100 of them, Steve says he was mostly played tables beforehand. Yeah. I'll take more credit than to Steve. Thanks. Right. So have you won a hand pay? Those of you who recently won a hand pay, Look at your W2G. Have you received it in the mail? Did you get it that night? Look for that. If you don't see the timestamp on it, every state's a little bit different. Mostly I see them. I don't know that you do necessarily. There's a spot, like I said, on the form. Write that down. Go back and play that time on that machine. It'll also have the serial number. There's two numbers on a machine. If you go into these little details, right? These little details matter, and that's why I'm trying to talk about them here. There is a serial number for the machine. All right. Usually a long number. Then there's a position number, okay? J48. J48. I think that's my Wheel of Fortune machine that I always come back to. J48 and J49, one right next to it. It was lovely. So you remember the names of your slot machines by their number, and that way you can tell them apart. Usually, if it's just like one machine, you just go back to your machine. But your list can get a little bit long. With 115 plus hand pays. So, yeah, you have that, and check and use that. Use your own information. Now, the other thing is maybe you don't have a hand pay. A lot of people don't have hand pays. That's perfectly fine. But, the advice I would give is go to the casino and do what you usually do, but kind of look around a little more. Take Steve's example and look around a little bit more, and listen for the rhythm, listen for the sounds of jackpots or the quiet of jackpots. One you run towards, the other you run away from. So start looking around, start watching other people play. I mean, you don't have to be, stalking or anything like that. You just notice your own play, notice other people. If you don't have a hand pay, but you see people getting hand pays, guess what? That counts. Make a note. You play that a week from now. Will they be there? Well, maybe if they're on the show and they listen to my YouTube. But odds are, unless that's like a regular time for them, just because they have a regular time, that's an option. You can slip in 5 or 10 minutes before they won their jackpot, and you are playing a machine that could be in higher odds of winning a week later. Hopefully it doesn't get too nasty out there. Like I said, I used to share this with everybody. The first thing I was learning how to talk about this stuff, I was talking to my fellow gamblers. I was talking to people at work. I was talking about, with family members and all that. And I started thinking after a while, am I going to find one of these people that I'm sharing all this with sitting at my slot machine, my Wheel of Fortune slot machine right in the back, right where I said it was, J48? Am I going to find somebody sitting there because I told them? But I never did. And maybe because they didn't know the precise times that I was there, if that even were to happen. Or they just weren't slots players, most of them. The high limit people, that I was at these events, it was all high limit people and their plus ones. We would sit there and I would just tell them this, and it was interesting how they would not tell me anything, but I wonder if they really did have much to share. No worries, but I would tell them, and they would get this look on their face like they wanted to reach in their pocket and pull out their W2G and check the time and make sure. So that was really, that helped me decide to have a business because of the interest. I've always been kind of like the skeptic of how many people would be interested in this, but particularly given the recent, growth on my channel, it looks like people are interested. I don't know why they wouldn't be. Trust issues. Right. So I'm going to quickly check to see if there was more to say. Well, Denise says it's very hard to predict Oklahoma slots since they do not have to report anything. They do. They absolutely do. They have to report to the people that matter. They don't have to report to the state. They have to report to the tribe. Okay, the Horseshoe Casino, the commercial casino had to report to Caesars Entertainment Board. Okay, these boards, these councils are far more restrictive and demanding than the state is. I mean, if you look at states that have a return a theoretical payout limit, some do, and you look at the return statistics, they don't even get close. They're not. I mean, right now, it's extraordinary circumstances. Maybe they would. Maybe it would offer some protection for Oklahoma when they can dip below where they would normally dip. But in a normal casino environment, that's just bad news for the casino to go so low as the state limit. And just because Oklahoma doesn't have a state limit and doesn't have to report return statistics to the state, which is then provides them to the public, doesn't mean that business practices don't still exist. The tribal council wants to know, they have a goal and they have performance metrics, and those are the ones that matter. Those are the ones that matter at the commercial casinos. Those are the ones that matter at the tribal casinos. The reason I'm not going to casinos right now is, I cannot afford to get coronavirus when I'm laid off. I can't afford to not work on this. I don't want to. But also, it's not a good time. It's not for casino business practice because they're all like scrambling. And I'm just like, so, I like it when it's like steady, and right now I just feel like I'd pick up bad habits. This is how you win during a pandemic. Well, John, the pandemic ended years ago. And, this is not a time that I choose to go to a casino. And I've got a lot more videos to do for you. If you'd prefer that I would enjoy myself instead of helping you, well, I'm enjoying myself making your videos for you, but, anyway, so Steve used, he was able to reach, it's Sarah's, right? So that's a Caesars property in North Carolina. He was able to reach 7 stars, which is interesting, isn't it? Last year did 660,000 here credits, to get 7 stars. I know what you mean. Still amazes me I did that in 6 weeks. No wonder I learned how to win. It just hit me in the face. Derek is here. How best to mentally walk away profit and not ask also known as self-discipline, just need an opinion. Habit. Develop a habit. I'm not a medical practitioner. There's gambling addictions. It's, I always worry about the first time somebody walks into a bar and has an alcoholic drink, first time they have a beer when they're a kid, 18, 21, whatever, and the body reacts, and it can be just such a negative reaction. It's chemical, and the first time somebody walks into a casino, what are the odds something like that can help? I don't want to say it's not out of your control, but there's a lot of people who say it's out of people's control, and there's opinions, and I'm not a medical professional to be able to answer that sort of question, but a reasonable amount of discipline, and I just hate the word self-discipline. I just hate the word, but habits, you develop a habit, and if you can establish a routine for a month, that's known as a habit. And I've done it, and I felt a whole lot more comfortable about gambling. Alex83, is there any difference to play the same denomination slot machine in high limit area than regular casino area? I think what you're asking is it better odds in the high limit room than outside of it? No. I did an analysis. There's 6 or is it 7 states that provide return statistics by slot machine denomination. So, and one of them actually is whether or not it's progressive, and that includes, $100, $50, $25, $10, $5, $1, and then down through quarters, dimes, nickels, pennies, and the worst machine to play consistently across the whole United States is a penny machine. It's terrible return statistics, but getting off that soapbox, about half the time it's one of the top, the high limit denominations that has the best return. One of them would have the best return, and half those locations, and the other half, it's one of the lower limit ones. So, yeah, it's kind of like a popular myth half the time, and not every denomination in the high limit room, but one of them might be the best in the casino. Second one might be out in the low limit, that sort of thing. So I have an article on that. Top 7 benefits of player return statistics, something like that, on my website. I'm not sure if I made a video of that one or yet. It might not be on YouTube yet. Texan jackpotter slots. So you play. Texas Jackpotter Slots says, hi, I play slots in Lake Charles and Las Vegas. Has Lake Charles opened back up? Golden Nugget, I know the roof got torn off of the hotel because of the hurricane. We were all wondering online. On Louisiana Slots Enthusiast Facebook group, feel free to join if you like. Personally, not as a business, but as an individual. If you happen to know if it reopened, that would be great. So Ray says, I get $125 free play at Hard Rock Biloxi. How would you play it? Usually there's a time in which it's good for, and that's usually a bad time. I would play it however you like. If sometimes you can't wait a week, right? If you find, this is one of the things about the promotional stuff is they tell you what time to come into the casino. It might be like a several hour range, but that can be hard to work with when you're like, oh, I wanted to do it like 2 hours before that because that's when I know some of the strategies. So, if you get regularly $125 free play, then apply these techniques. Any of these 7 strategies, and use that money to apply it. It shouldn't matter whether it's cash that you put in or the free play. I wonder about that sometimes, but it shouldn't matter. And if you're asking whether to go to high limit, go to high limit if you want to. I think for me the minimum was like $500 I needed to play the most efficient stuff that I can do in the high limit. If I wasn't trying to do those things, if I knew it didn't work at that casino, I would take $2,500 to the high limit room. That was the only thing, to give me a chance to win $2,500 so I could cycle bankrolls. $125, maybe use it to test some of my strategies, and then, it doesn't cost you anything. We call it opportunity cost back in business stuff. Okay, so that is 2 minutes over, and it was great seeing you guys. Watch more of my videos to improve your slots gambling performance. Have fun, be safe, make good choices.